want to talk to you about like your journey, kind of like full circle here. Obviously, you were a nurse for like a big part of the program here up until recently, but just to
Yep.
help encourage other women, other nurses that were kind of like in your shoes to you like a year and a half ago,
Yep.
just kind of hear about your journey as someone that's actually been through the program and killing it, maintaining your results, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Um, it's
You
been
want to just fill
awesome.
me in? Yeah, I love it. You want to just start fill me in by like Crystal, like a year and a half ago, kind of like when we first chatted, like kind of like where you're at, kind of what you're going through, your schedule. We can just start there. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So a year and a half ago when we met, September of 2024, I just started on nights full time. Um, and that was a huge change. I was not really fully taking care of myself as far as my health. I was trying to stay active, but like not really watching what I was eating a ton or anything like that. Just in kind of like a rough spot as far as like where do I go next with my nutrition and my health and that kind of stuff. And then I saw you on Instagram and I was like, I could take advice from another nurse. I'm like, if I'm going to listen to anybody, it's not going to be a personal trainer who went to school for science kinesiology, right? I'm going to get advice at this point in my life and my health journey from someone who's been in my shoes. It's just easier to understand and appreciate someone who's been there, right? So much easier. So that's definitely what caught my eye on your program specifically. And then meeting Coach Ashley, I mean, talk about a rock star. Like, there was never a moment in my year and a half journey with her that I didn't think I couldn't reach out to her. If I was struggling, like, I couldn't be honest with her. When changes just suddenly happened, I now have a man in my life for the last year who has 3 kiddos, and like literally from November to all the way to March, every single weekend we had hockey practice, we had hockey tournaments, we had so many activities that were factors I couldn't control.
Yeah.
And it was a matter of going, hey, coach, like, I am not going to be around healthy food for like the next several months. Like, what do I need to do? And it was a matter of, okay, let's get our steps in between, games or that kind of stuff. Hey, if we're going to stop at the gas station, what are our go-to snacks? Hey, let's pack some things. Hey, if you're at practice for 3 hours on a Wednesday night, like, let's just make our wrap and bring it with us, or make sure we got a protein shake on board or something. When I struggled coming off of, even just recently, coming off of nights and going into days, like my whole body changed, like my whole rhythm changed. And her and I just like talking through what our focuses needed to be, which was changing my sleep patterns. That was a huge thing because I got, and even changing my step goals because I was going from a job where I was walking 10,000 steps, 12,000 steps, no problem, in a night shift in 12 hours. And now I'm sedentary for
Hmm.
usually 6 out of my 8 hours, which is really hard. So it's parking farther away, right? It's taking the stairs. It's those little things that she's just worked with me through every single thing we've done. And at the same time, one of the first things she said to me that has stuck with me the whole time, and we kind of brought it up on our group call, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, about being consistent, was making those small changes consistently over time. That 1% change versus trying to do a 99% change and thinking it's going to stick. So that's one of the biggest takeaways of this program, not only with coach, but with the community and stuff, is making those small changes and finding those things as life happens that you can control. So I can control what snacks I pack. I can control, we talked about like going out to eat. My other half loves going out to eat. So I don't always get a chance to look at the menu because he's a last minute decision maker, but knowing when I get there, okay, where's my protein at? Where are my carbs at? Can I get this on the side? Can I, instead of having, the fries, can I get sauteed veggies? Like, just having those conversations with Ash before it even happens, kind of thing. But it's knowing I can kind of control certain things, and when I can't, Okay, at least I got my steps in today. Okay, at least my sleep was good last night. Okay, I got my water intake, those kind of things, So my whole mindset has come really far in the sense of it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It literally can just be those small habits that really truly have made a difference and continue to make a difference. It's still things I strive for even now on day shift, living a living a 9 to 5 nursing life, which is weird. But it just truly makes a huge difference in, okay, now I have my walking pad. So I know if I only get 5,000 steps at work, or 5 or 6,000, which is normal, I come home and I jump on my walking pad. Luckily, the weather's been nice the last couple of weeks here in Wisconsin. So I've been able to take my pup out for a walk, just making that time at the end of my day to still get my steps in, because that's an important goal for me. Or changing up my water bottles, or changing how often I get my electrolytes in, because then that kind of gives me a goal. I love drinking my water, but I like my water with a little zuzz in it. So just those things still being my focus. And now what's also really weird is like having 3 square meals a day. That did not happen on night shift.
Oh my
So
goodness. Yeah, it's such a difference.
yeah,
Being like 9 to 5 schedule now. And yeah, that's been great just to have that support through the schedule changes. Cause even though day shift, like, you're happy to be on day shift now, it is a big transition, like flipping everything upside down from being on nights for a while and then actually, having that day shift schedule now. That's a huge thing. And I like what you talked about too with like the consistency piece and like not having that all or nothing mindset. I think that's good
yeah.
to hear just from someone that's been through the program, even for like other women that are still in the program or at the beginning of the program that are, being hard on themselves too, because you've kind of seen kind of full circle,
Oh
like
yeah.
consistency really is. And it's not about being perfect. And, with your
Oh,
nursing schedule, it's going to be all over the place with
yep.
the kids and all of the different factors you've got that you're balancing there. But you've been
Yeah.
able to make progress despite all of that.
Yes.
And now even just thinking back to like before the program, like what types of things like did you try prior? I know there was like a bunch of different things that
Yeah.
you tried prior, right?
So there was Beachbody.
Yep.
That was a huge one. There was Weight Watchers. Of course, I did that because I did that with my mom and my sister. What were other big ones that I did? Oh, I did intermittent fasting. I did that for like my first almost year and a half of being a nurse. Went during COVID. Which came to find out today, it wasn't the best for my body as a woman. It's not great for women. Um, and there was a time, because now it's really big, that I was on a GLP-1. And that, even as much as you saw the weight loss, your habits were dictated by medication. And even being in healthcare, I'm pro medication when it's necessary. And then I also believe that there's a lot of other methods that are good for our bodies, which include eating right and fueling ourselves properly. And I think that's the thing I love most about this program is it's not going to fix everything, but what you're doing is you're changing your mind while you're changing your body. And that was probably my biggest hurdle when I met you, without knowing that that was my hurdle, if that makes sense. And I think that has been the greatest benefit, because I now really find myself embracing my body and embracing my shape and my strength and what I'm capable of, because I know I'm taking care of myself. And that's okay to do. And as a nurse, or even anyone in healthcare, I speak specifically in nurses because I am one, but like just taking care of people in general, you pour your heart and soul into it, and that is absolutely part of our profession. However, when we drain ourselves and give everything to our patients, we don't have much left to give to ourselves or the people around us. And so one of the greatest benefits of this program is having that mind change, that it was, and I talked to Ash about this in our last call, was having the permission to give myself to take care of myself, to be like, it's okay to eat good food because it makes me feel good. It's also okay to enjoy life and have my iced latte once a week, even if it is $9, it's worth it, but also like, the thing of being like, I now see that I take care of or while I was on this program, I took care of my patients way better
Mm.
because I was feeling good about myself. I had poured into myself before I even got to my shifts, whether that was just getting enough sleep or making sure like I was getting my water intake, most of it before I started work, because I knew that first 4 hours of my shift was going to be crazy, right? So I was like, I'll maybe get 24 ounces in if I'm lucky, that kind of stuff before you get to sit down and everything. So that was just huge for me, is giving myself permission and being in the mindset of it's okay to take care of me and do it to the best of my ability, not perfection, but finding those little habits that truly made me feel better and being like, oh, yeah, I can give more to my patients because I took care of myself today.
That was beautifully said. I love it. I love it. Yeah, you got to put your health first. Like
Yeah.
when you're in a career, you're taking care of everybody else all day. Like you need to. It's like a non-negotiable there.
Yeah.
But it's been so cool to see like where you were at the beginning, like on our first call. Like if we think about what your goals were, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was probably something about like lose weight, do this, do that. But like look at all the things that you got out of it. Like
Yeah.
even beyond that is like so cool. I
Yeah.
love
Yep.
I love
Yeah.
that. So what has been like the biggest thing like for you with the things that you tried in the past? Obviously some of the things are more of like, quick fix or probably not as sustainable, but what was
Yeah.
like the big thing that really made this like stick for you and really be able to maintain it?
I think the biggest thing has just been the community and the coaches. Those were the big things. Because one, we're checking in, whether it was the accountability challenges or just like everyone jumping in the chat to figure out, hey, does this work for you? What are you guys trying for electrolytes? That kind of stuff. Just having that community there was just huge, to know we weren't walking this alone, especially working nights, like, you have your crew, your zombie crew, but like who else is doing it, So, that felt good. The communication in the chat was just epic. And then, I mean, I can't brag enough about you coaches. Like
Yeah.
Ashley was, I mean, there wasn't like honestly in a year, and the thing is, I think too, is because she truly understands us as like women, but then as healthcare workers, because that's that other component of it. And even started dating, and the kids came into my life, like all of those adjustments, she understood and was patient and wasn't like, oh, you should be pushing harder, or you should be doing more, or any of that. Like if happened and I missed a workout or whatever, I never felt guilty, you know, having that conversation with her, or was, there's around the holidays and you're enjoying them or whatever. I never felt that guilt I used to feel with a program, like, oh, I fell off the wagon, or oh, coach is gonna, or my trainer is gonna be so disappointed because I went over in fats, or I went over in carbs or calories or whatever. I never felt that guilt with Ash because she understood the human aspect of who we are, but she also understood my career and my job and my sleeping schedule. Like there was just such a sweet communication and understanding from her that I felt like I could be successful, even in the moments where it felt like utter chaos.
Yeah.
Like she was the calm in the storm for sure. And she never made herself not available. Like if she was, like, she had a group chat, she's like, hey guys, I'm doing this X, Y, and Z, like
Mhm.
reach out to each other, count on each other. Or she'd be like, hey, or like I'd go on vacation, she'd be like, hey, don't talk to me unless you need me. And I'd be like, okay. Yeah, I'd still text her or whatever. But it just was the fact that I didn't just have a coach, but I had a friend who understood what we were walking through together and who was cheering me on at the same time. So there's a lot of times that when I'm in the gym and I laugh because we call it my coach Ashley, because she's like, you can lift more, you can push yourself harder,
It's in
you
the back
can
of your
do,
head. You're
yeah.
like,
She's like,
oh
you can
gosh,
do
you tell me
another,
to do
you can
more.
do another set, and I'm like, oh.
I
But
love that.
yeah,
And that's also why you've been so successful though, is because you've actually been like communicating these things. Like when you
yep,
have things coming up and you've been able to keep in a tight loop of communication so she could
yeah.
actually be able to support you along those things. So I think that's been huge. And you talked about this a little bit, but something like people always ask is like, what does it actually like look like when you're in the program? I know you talked about like the community piece, but everyone's very overwhelmed with the nutrition piece. That's usually one of the biggest things. So like, what did that really look like for you? Like, if you think about like night shifts, that's usually when your nutrition is the most challenging,
Yeah.
when you don't always get a time to sit down. But like, how did you kind of, how did that look like for you and like a day in the program? And how did you kind of set
Yeah.
yourself up for success there?
So I think the biggest thing for me with night shift is once I figured out what fueled me overnight. So like my like prime example was, so like my 312s, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously meal prepping before those, but I was someone who I would eat a very light dinner before I went into work. So something like I would do real good chicken chunks and then like sweet potato
I
fries
love
and then
those.
like yeah.
Those are
And
so
then,
good.
I would have I'd have a very minimal dinner. I wouldn't have anything heavy because in my mind, I'm going into a 12-hour shift and like I need good fuel, I need protein and that kind of stuff. But I didn't also want to have that like sediment in my stomach and then I feel like I can't like get working, right? So then I figured out probably a month or 6 weeks into working with coach, like greatest food I love. I'm a breakfast girl. Like I could miss lunch and dinner, but I love breakfast. So Ashley's like, what do you love to eat for breakfast? Like make that your 3 a.m. Because I go to break between 2 and 3 a.m. She's like, make that your first meal. She's like, everyone says it's your lunch, right? And you should eat whatever. And a lot of people had leftovers and stuff like that. But I loved breakfast food. So I found myself, I would do egg white bites or I would make like an egg scramble or egg cups. And then I would do turkey sausage and I would do turkey bacon. And then I would have my protein yogurt and my berries with some protein granola. And then if I got, if that was great, that's my mealtime. Like I feel awesome. That's how I started my day, quote unquote. But then if I didn't get a chance to sit down, because I've had those nights, I always had a protein shake, a protein bar, string cheese, and then like a chopstick in my bag. And like usually a pack of nuts. I'm a big pistachio girl, so I'd have like just a travel pack of nuts. So I would have those in my bag too because I could sit in charts and be out at my desk and still snack on those things and have those things if I couldn't sit down and have my breakfast, which happened.
Yeah.
So then in return I would get home from my night shift and I would warm up my breakfast food. And then I would I probably wouldn't have eaten it all though, because that was the other thing I found out about myself. I couldn't eat a really big meal before I went to sleep for the day. I had to have something lighter. So in return, I tended to either pack a smoothie with protein powder in it, or again, just little snacky things like a protein bar, protein shake, and then just usually a piece of fruit. So a lot of times on my commute home, it was a protein shake, a protein bar, and a banana or a piece of fruit or something like that. And that was what I would eat my 30 minutes to get home. And so then I had a little time for that to digest because then I got to wash my face, take out my pup, all that kind of stuff, and then go to sleep. But I wasn't eating directly before I went to bed because I tried that, I think, at the beginning, and that was really hard for me to sleep. For some odd reason, and I'm still that way. Like now that I have normal schedule, like I still have to eat by like 5 or 6.
Yep. Yeah, your body
6
does
or
not like to be
7's really
digesting when
pushing
you're
it because
sleeping.
I'm usually getting ready for bed between 8:30 and 9 and in bed by 9:30 kind of thing. So I still have to give myself some time for that. So that was probably the biggest thing is once I figured out what I enjoyed eating, I packed that. And I got so many, it was so funny though at work because I got so many comments on having breakfast at 3 a.m. And I was like, but I'm like, you guys, it's a new day. Like it's my breakfast time. So, but I didn't mind because that breakfast alone was fueling me for the last probably,
Right.
4 hours, 4.5 hours before I went to bed. And I'd have 30 to 40 protein in that meal.
Mhm.
So that was enough for me. And it definitely got me through. So
I love that. No, that's good to think about it in like different ways too, because I know that we've had, one of my clients in the program thinking about like, she's like, I don't like breakfast food. I'm like, have lunch or dinner food for breakfast, like whatever is going to work for you.
yeah.
That's really what you're going to stick with. And I think
Yep.
that's great that you were able to have flexibility through your shifts, figure out what works for you, what works for your body, kind of just like rinse and repeat it. And I think that's really why you were so successful with it. And then night shifts, the other thing that really comes up is just like energy levels. I'm sure like energy levels were all over the place, especially at the beginning there, but how did that like go as time went on, as you were fueling yourself properly, getting in recovery around your workouts? Like, how did your energy levels change?
I think the biggest thing I noticed, and Ash and I talked about this because I'm a coffeeaholic, like coffee is what got me through nursing school. And like when I started working on nights, I found myself making a cup of coffee at that, like when I finished my breakfast or whatever, or finished my lunch, making a cup of coffee just to get through the next like 4 hours, right? And then the biggest thing that changed when I started fueling myself is I usually didn't need that. What I could have instead is I would have my electrolytes just in case I wasn't planning a workout that day or anything like that. So in return, I basically substituted my electrolytes for yet another bottle of water, which was great, but I'd throw my electrolytes in there, which made a huge difference because again, that caffeine comes up and comes right down, right? Like it's really big. And even now, I'm laughing so hard because even now in the morning working a regular schedule, I don't need more than a cup of coffee. And that's huge for me, Abby, because I mean, through nursing school, I went through maybe a pot a day, like not even joking. Like, and so it's like I drank a lot and it was coffee and creamer, and like, and the occasional fun latte or whatever, that kind of stuff. Like I love it still, but at the same time, I'm really finding myself not needing it.
Just that natural energy from your food, from your sleep, from all that good stuff.
For my movement and that kind of stuff too. Yep.
Yay. Well, that's so cool to see just how like you notice the energy level changing when you didn't need all as much coffee. That's huge.
Yeah.
I love that. And then with the workout side of things, like how did you really just fit that into your schedule, especially just like working 12-hour shifts, nights, all the things?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, and we kind of touched on this again in that group call, was I'd sit down with my week, which varied every week, to be honest, depending on my schedule. But I was fortunate enough to know my schedule a month at a time, at least, if not 6 weeks. So it was a matter of, I knew every week Ashley and I were going to check in on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on where I was at in the program. But when I sat down to do my check-in with her, I'd also sit down with my calendar because that's one of the things. She's like, okay, when are you going to fit your workout in? And I think the greatest thing that her and I did, and I still now kind of use the same habit, is let's say I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, I have Monday through Thursday off, right? So we would plan my workouts to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday was my relax day. Like if I don't get a work in, let's say Tuesday doesn't work out because something comes up, then I have Thursday. And then we really tried to, like, if I worked, I had such a weird schedule. Everyone does on nights, but sometimes I would work a Monday night and then work a Wednesday and Thursday night and randomly have Tuesday off. So her and I would sit down and go, okay, what typically when I get off that morning, do I go take a nap? Do I just want to go to the gym? What do I want to do? And I was a nap kid. Like I was like, I can nap and then use the rest of my day. So a lot of times she'd be like, all right, so we're going to use that Tuesday. She's like, and then Friday. And then we have Saturday or Sunday to fit in your next one. I was not someone who could necessarily work out before I went into work. It would, yes, give me energy, but then I would tend to crash a little sooner at work. I found that out the hard way. You just got to kind of test that.
I hear you.
So, and even now I prefer to do my workouts after work. And a lot of people are like, I can't do that. And I was like, oh, it's my jam. Because like it just helps me decompress after 8 hours. I'm like, and then because I didn't really move my body a lot during the day, then I feel like, okay, I really moved my body. So I think that was my biggest thing, is sitting down, knowing Ash was going to schedule them for me and going, okay, this is what I have. And then if I don't get it in this day, I do have an extra day to get it in. Giving myself that grace, knowing life happens, schedules happen, things change, and like, okay, I have another day to fit that in.
Yeah, no, that's huge that you had like the flexibility there and just really just like looking at your calendar, especially on nights, because it was like changing every single week. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have those like awkward days in between and it's spread out. So that's like the
Yep.
best thing really that you can do. And that's how you were able to stay so consistent with it and
Yeah.
manage recovery and manage energy. So that's been huge.
Yep.
And then I guess just like lastly here, I guess what would you say to like a nurse, say like a night shift nurse who's like thinking about the program, but is kind of wondering, is this going to work for me? Is this going to be a waste? Because obviously there's so much stuff out there and people are just
Yeah.
like very skeptical. Like what
Oh yeah.
advice would you give to like a nurse like that, or maybe that was in your shoes?
I would say join the program if you want to take better care of yourself. Because if you are in the mindset, because A, it's not easy in the career that we've chosen to take care of yourself, but B, it is essential in order to do a better job. But I would also say to them that out of all the things that are out there, you are going to experience a community and coaches who understand you and understand what you're walking through and are going to walk through it with you. And a personal trainer isn't going to do that. A health coach kind of will do that, but they're not going to understand the component of being in healthcare. And that is extra in this community. It is just the best thing, because we don't rely on each other as much as we should sometimes in our job. And this is a community where we can, and we encourage one another and we love on one another. And there's so much positivity coming out from you coaches and from one another that you will be successful. If you want to be, you can be. And there's no doubt in my mind, everyone deserves that. Not just healthcare workers, but everyone. Everyone deserves to take care of themselves, and everyone needs to understand that. But we are in a profession where it's super, super important. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing is it is different in the sense of it's not just another program, but it is a family, it's a community, it's support in an area of life that everyone needs. And you guys take the time. All three of you coaches take the time to understand each of us individually and our pressures. And I think one of the biggest things when I started, I asked you about accountability. And that has made the hugest difference for me. And I would pay 100 times more for that accountability, because I will tell you that is what made the difference for me with Coach Ash, because it helped my mindset. It helped me push myself. It helped me feel like I was human on the days that I felt like I had to be superhuman, So I feel like you can't lose in this community. Like you can't lose in this program, because if you do your check-ins, if you really want this, which I feel like we all do as females of any age, and especially in healthcare, taking care of ourselves, like you can't lose by putting yourself out there and taking the opportunity to be part of something that is so wonderful and is so supportive and is so positive.
Oh, you make me tear up.
Abby, I'm not just pulling this out of my head or anything,
I love
but
it.
I do mean it, because it has made such
Aw.
a huge difference in a year and a half.
Oh, it's crazy, like really how much you've done in the past year and a half. And no, I love everything you mentioned. Just really about putting your health first, and that's just such a big thing here. And like Nurses Week, I'm glad we got to do this Nurses Week here. And just putting your
Yeah.
health first is going to be the biggest thing, so you can be a good nurse, so you can take care of your patients and also yourself. So no, I love that. I appreciate you sharing everything and taking the time out of your busy schedule to do that. But
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you for just like, that first call we had together to now, just like so much you've done. Not just like externally, but internally, mindset, all those things. So it's been so cool to see your journey here. And
Thanks, girl.
and you still have access to the community, the group chat,
Yes.
all that. I think Ashley
Yep.
clarified that with you. We're like, yes,
Yep.
post it.
Yeah.
That's what the community's for. Like,
Yep.
that's something that we do, that it's like, even like when you do finish up the program, I'm like, stay in the community, like
Yep.
join the calls, like that's
Yep.
totally fine. And we love that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, Crystal. Was there anything else like you needed from me, the team, anything else?
No, things have been fantastic.
Yay. Well, thank
Yay.
you again for sharing everything. And yeah, no, just keep us posted. Keep,
Yeah.
staying posted in the group chat, sharing your wins, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. You bet.